What's going on, guys? Welcome to the main event breakdown brought to you by the one and only Fantasy Labs. I'm MadLab. I am here to break down the main event for you. You probably have the article in front of you. This is a little bit more condensed to show you my conviction, why I wrote what I wrote, what I'm feeling about the fight. Listen, I'm not one to sit here and bullshit you, and I'm not going to say, wow, this is going to be such a tremendous fight, and I had to rip so much film on this fight, and this and that. It's just simply not true. This is a fight where you got to understand that this is a business at the end of the day, and the UFC kind of knows in a roundabout way in the bigger fights, not the lower. They kind of know who they want to win. The matchmakers are very, very smart, and they have a end game in everything that they do. There's an end game. They have matchups geared. They're waiting and they're ready. As long as fighter A beats fighter B, then we could set him up here maybe in August, or we could set him up here maybe in September. They have a wireframe of things that they want. Don't let them ever tell you that they don't. So this is a fight here where the card itself isn't that great. It's very top heavy. You got really two fights that are super interesting, and they're really not interesting. The fighters are interesting. The fights themselves really aren't that interesting, right? I mean, when you have a main event at 5 rounds that, is juiced as much as it is, how interesting is that fight, technically on paper? And then obviously the co-main event, which is Miesha Tate, and I'm very interested in that fight. I used to like Miesha Tate. I used to think she was a good fighter, slippery fighter, very, very tough. And I'm interested in seeing where she is. When you look at her, she's, been gone since 2016. A lot of people think she's old. She's only 33. When she's fighting, she's trying to get her one foot in the door while one foot is trying to come out for Marion Renault, where this is her retirement fight. So there's a lot of narratives involved there. And it's a fight that I'm really interested in seeing where Miesha Tate is at this point in time and if she can make another run. As far as the main event, when you look at Islam Makhachev, let's look at Thiago Moises for a second. When you look at Moises, this is a guy who has gone through his progressions in the UFC. There's points in time where he didn't really look that good, and now it seems like he's looking better and better as the fights go on. If you look at his fight against Alexander Hernandez, he looked great, but how much stock are we going to put into that? Maybe we put a lot of stock into it if it was a fight right after he fought Beneil Dariush, then I would get it. But Alexander Hernandez, he's not really panning out to what everyone thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be a lot better than he is. I thought he was very smart. He was going to make adjustments a lot better. He's not making those adjustments as quickly as I thought. Excuse me. So now you have, a guy in Moises who he's got a little bit of chip on his shoulder, right? I mean, he was in the fight. He's moving forward. He's talking a little trash. His hands look good, and this is a guy who predominantly leans on his grappling, a very, very good grappler, black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, good submissions, good off his back, good sweeps. So he's very well equipped down there. But the level of competition is nothing like he's facing in this fight. Now, with Islam Makhachev, why do I like him so much? I like him because he is not a Ronda Rousey and a Conor McGregor where they push him with all this media, right? They never just you'll never see all these marketing commercials about Islam Makhachev and all these things. He has done it with his fighting style. Now, mind you, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you and tell you he's got no steam behind him and there's nothing helping his push, because there is. He's fighting under Khabib, the greatest of all time. His father, before he passed away, blatantly said, I want Islam to be the next champion when my son retires. So there is something to be said about that. There is hype behind that, and that will kind of market you a little bit. But as far as the UFC and the media and the outlets, nobody's pushing this guy, like they were pushing McGregor and Rousey. He's doing this himself. He's doing this with his skill set. And he's got a ceiling that I really don't know. This guy shows me something new all the time. I'm very well versed in this, and I'm very well versed in boxing, and I'm very well versed in grappling, and I've been doing this for a very long time, where usually when I'm watching a fight, if someone's sitting next to me, they're like, well, what should he do? I could kind of dictate either what he's looking on doing, what he's going to do, or what he needs to do. Islam Makhachev sometimes loses me. I'll sit there and I'll say, well, he needs to do this, he needs to do that, and if I'm alone, I say it by myself. I coach him through. And I'll look at him, I'm like, what the fuck was that? Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. So he does certain things that loses me sometimes, and maybe not loses me, but makes me think wow, I didn't even think about that. That's a great positional transition right there. So I don't know if we've seen the best, the ceiling of Makhachev yet. I really don't know. You know what I mean? And I don't think we have. This is a guy who, tears a page out of Khabib's book to an extent. He's got a very good grappling game, very good top pressure game. I think he likes to shoot for submissions more than Khabib does. I think at this point in time in both of their careers, I think that Makhachev's striking is better than Khabib's was at this point in time. So who knows what this guy's ceiling is? I just think it's a really tough ask, for Moises to win this fight. I understand Makhachev's chin has never really been tested, but I'm assuming that he doesn't have a dusted chin or a glass chin. I'm assuming his chin is just fine. Moises is not known as this big power puncher anyway. As far as Moises' grappling, I think he's a very high pedigree grappler. I do not see him submitting Makhachev. So how does he win? He would have to win by a decision. And I find it very hard to believe that Moises is going to be able to checkmate Makhachev for 25 minutes. Will he be able to checkmate him once, twice, or three times in the fight? Yeah, I do. I believe that he might have his positions, and there might be a couple times he shoots a couple, offensive attacks where he maybe puts Islam in trouble, or we get on our chairs, we're like, ooh, hold on a second. But I don't think for 25 minutes he's good enough to outwork Makhachev, to out-transition Makhachev, to out-positional grapple Makhachev, to outstrike I just don't see it happening. I see it happening in spots, but to beat a fighter by a decision, you need to outwork them more in 25 minutes than that fighter outworks you, and I just don't see that happening. I see Makhachev opening up some windows where Moises jumps through and has his moments, but I do not see it flipped, where Moises is taking control of the octagon. He looks like he's the clear better fighter. He's throwing leg kicks, he's throwing punches, he's getting the better of the grappling exchanges, and then Makhachev has his moments. No. I don't see that happen. I see Makhachev having the fight in control and Moises having his moments. That's just not going to be enough. It's just not going to be enough. So, my clear pick here is Makhachev. As far as Vegas, this line is juiced. I don't touch lines like this. I don't go near it. I wouldn't go near it. Can he finish this fight? Yes, he can. Do I think he's going to submit Moises? No. Do I think he can get on top of him with top control and maul him like a Khabib style where he's just hitting him, and the ref jumps in? Yes. Would I bet on it? Nah, probably not. Probably not. I would rather stay away from it in total and just have fun watching Makhachev and find his little new nuances. I have no problems with you tying this in a parlay. If you want to tie this in a couple parlays, if you want to tie it in a two-way, three-way, whatever way you want to do it, that's fine. He's definitely a parlay piece, but be prepared. You're going to have to pay some juice to get that line to kind of, even ROI, depending on who you use. So parlay piece, yes, I would stay away. I stay away from all fights. Even I don't care how confident I am in a fighter. You're not getting me to lay, -5, -6, -700 on anybody. I just don't do it. I won't do it. I won't advise you to do it. This is a completely different game than football, baseball, basketball, soccer. It's a completely different game. One punch can end it all. One injury, like what happened to Conor McGregor, can end it all. So why are you going to do that? I just don't think you should do that. There's other spots on this card where there's some value. So a parlay piece, yes. As far as DraftKings, 9,400 for him, a little bit pricey. Yep. But I just see him being value still. Like, if he wins, I think he covers. I do. I think, you got to remember his current market value and his 100-plus points are sitting at 50%. So that means 5 of 10 times he's hitting his current market value at 9,400. Got to remember that's 3-round fights. You got an extra 2 rounds now that he's playing with. You got an extra 2 rounds that he's playing with that can bump that current market value up to maybe 70%. So you have a 70% chance at that point to hitting your value. You're going to have company, but that's okay. I mean, this is a slate where it's not a really good gambling slate. It's really not a good DFS slate. It's a slate. You got the finals that are, the NBA finals, I believe, that are going to be going on at the same time. A lot of people are going to be watching that. You might have some rollover. You might have some, some of these contests that aren't filling that'll give you a little bit of an edge. So definitely have some of Makhachev. I'm looking at 6 to 7 on him in a 10-round line, 10 fight lineup. And as far as Moises, 6,800. He's a punt. Anything can happen in a fight. I don't think you should fade him. I think you should throw maybe 2 bullets out of 10 in on him, and I think you're safe. That's it. Hope you guys enjoy the fights. Talk to you soon.